What's going on, YouTube? Now obviously last year the half-ton Sierra was redesigned, so that meant that a new heavy-duty model was sure to follow right behind it. Well, that model is now here, with absolutely everything redesigned from the ground up, and this brand new trim level, the AT4. Of course, as always, we do want to especially thank our friends at Don Franklin Buick GMC for giving us access to this beautiful AT4 Sierra HD. And if you're in the market for any new GMC or Buick, make sure you stop by their dealership in person or visit them via their website, which we provided a link to in the video description. So with all that said, let's see if this Sierra HD can beat all the new competition. So right now, at the beginning of the production run, GMC is producing mostly the two highest trim levels, the Denali and AT4, which naturally have the most exciting designs. Both models have the giant GMC grille, but with vastly different finishes. So on this AT4, the edges are all blacked out and the center bars are finished in a smoke chrome. This does make for a really stealthy look with a black exterior, or a bold contrast look if you choose a lighter color. But if you want the most in-your-face look, then you can always choose the Denali, which subs it all out for the signature full chrome fascia. Overall, both HDs have a significantly more rugged look to them than the 1500 models, part of that having to do with the grille extending out into the headlight cluster. Now these lights are the same on both trims, being fully LED with the separated turn signal and fog lights. Around at the side, the top two trims are only available in the crew cab configuration, but normal and long beds are both offered. And then moving to the back, it has very large changes for a pickup truck, with new LED tail lights and the split design tailgate, which we'll talk about a little later. And then finally below that, we have a full-size spare tire and a large diameter exhaust pipe. So overall, this HD is actually a more dramatic departure from the outgoing model than even the 1500 was last year, and it is certainly a very handsome and eye-catching truck. Now of course, the AT4 is the off-road version, so there are some wheel upgrades besides for just having different designs. It starts out with 18s, but we have the optional 20s. However, no matter which size you choose, they will always be wrapped in all-terrain tires. As far as the Denali, it has 20-inch polished alloys as standard equipment, but you don't have any options of 22s like you do on the equivalent 1500. It is also worth noting that AT4s have special Rancho shocks and skid plates. Next, heading up to the mirrors, they have massive towing ones with just about every feature that you can throw at them. You have normal and convex mirrors, auto dimming, heating, power folding, power extension, puddle lamps, and front and rear facing lighting. Plus, we also have the optional blind spot monitoring system. But beyond BSM, the Sierra HD now offers some advanced safety features in the Driver Alert 2 package. Those are going to be forward emergency braking and auto high beam headlights, both of which were not available on the outgoing model, but you still won't find lane keeping assist or adaptive cruise control like on the 1500 Sierra. Now working our way back around the truck, we have the most important stuff pertaining to actually getting work done. So we'll start with the Multi-Pro tailgate, which operates in the same way as it does with the 1500, having a remote release, easy lowering, and 6 different configurations. Beyond the tailgate, you can also access the bed through the bumper steps on both the back and now the side. As for the bed itself, the important changes this year is that it now has class-leading volume, a 1-inch lower lift-in height, and 12 different tie-downs. We've also got the power outlet and the cutouts for the fifth wheel towing. And speaking of towing, that of course is the main reason why people choose the HD, and you certainly won't be disappointed. Now I definitely can't go through every possible configuration, but just know that as equipped, this can handle 18,500 pounds with both conventional and gooseneck towing. And then you have a maximum of 35,500 pounds with a very specific 3500 model. But anyways, that's it for the massively capable exterior. So now let's go ahead and check out the inside. So since today we're only talking about the AT4 and the Denali, the top two trims, as you'd expect, you do have the standard intelligent entry system, and you will also find standard remote start. Now obviously getting inside the vehicle itself is the same as in all GMC vehicles. You're just going to press the little button to unlock. Alright, so checking out the cabin of the 2020 Sierra HD AT4. You will be able to tell right off the bat, it is familiar because it is mostly shared with the 1500 version of the Sierra. But there are a lot of unique touches here for this AT4. Now what you're looking at currently is the only option for this AT4, and that is the jet black interior with the Kalahari inserts, and it is real leather seating as well. Now when you go for the Denali trim, that upgrades you to a fancier leather with the wider graining on it, and you also get open pore ash wood instead of this faux carbon fiber that's in this AT4. The color choices on the Denali are jet black or dark walnut with a gray combination. Now turning over here to your door trim, it is of course very nicely appointed. You have a leather material across the entire armrest, as well as a padded plastic across the top with some color contrast stitching for this AT4. Both the AT4 and Denali do have two-person memory seating, and your windows are one-touch automatic for the driver and the passenger. Now checking out the seat here, it is 10-way power adjusting across both of those trims with two-way lumbar support as well. And then like I was saying, we do have real leather here on the AT4. Definitely feels very nice. I really like the look of this with the contrasting leather pieces in here as well as the embroidering up in the headrest. Now of course this truck is absolutely massive, but GMC has provided some really nice fixed running boards. They are fixed here on the heavy duty trucks, whereas they are power on the 1500 version, so just keep that in mind. But this is an option on the AT4, and they're standard on the Denali. So like I mentioned, the cabin does have a pleasant familiarity with both the outgoing model as well as the 1500 Sierra. So you will find high quality materials, of course, here on our loaded trims. So we do have a soft touch dashboard across all of the upper dash, as well as a nice color contrast stitching that goes all through this leatherette material in this middle portion. Going over here to the middle part, you will notice on the AT4 as well as the Denali, we actually have a real aluminum. It is brushed and looks very nice. It has a dark finish on the AT4 and the lighter finish on the Denali. And then in our lower areas, they are mostly hard touch, but we do have a trim piece here. This is our faux carbon fiber on the AT4, or it would be the genuine open pore wood on the Denali trim. And to start the vehicle, just press the standard button. When you press it, you will notice the standard 8-inch display fire up here in the middle. And that, of course, is the unmistakable sound of the Duramax diesel firing up. But anyways, as far as the gauges themselves here, this is the premium setup. It is standard on the Denali and optional here on the AT4 via the technology package. So what you're looking at is 2 analog gauges and the large 8-inch display in the middle instead of the standard 4.2-inch display. But as far as the actual information itself, it is pretty much the same. So you can just scroll between various different sections across there, and you can change different settings like for your safety systems. You will also notice, in addition to that, we have what GMC is calling the segment first and the largest head-up display. It is 15 inches. This is optional on both the Denali and the AT4 via their respective technology packages. As you can see, like everything in this truck, it is absolutely huge, one of the biggest I've ever seen. It's a little hard to see over top of the white car there, but you can cycle through a lot of different types of information as well as adjust it like every type of head-up display. Now heading on back to the steering wheel, we actually have hydraulic power assisted steering. That's becoming increasingly rare, but of course this is a heavy duty truck, so that's what we expect. As far as the steering wheel itself though, it is very premium. Both of these top 2 trims of course have leather wrapping with color contrast stitching as well as real aluminum. And then these buttons over here is for your cruise control, your standard heating, as well as your typical multi-function display, voice and phone commands. However, as far as the steering wheel itself, it is always going to be manually adjusting. Now, as far as the shifter, this will be column mounted across all of the trims. So of course you just grab it and pull down for drive. You can shift manually with these little toggles here if you want to. But just like the standard Sierra, the tow mode button has been relocated from the end of this stock to right over here. You just twist this knob. When we go into reverse here, you're going to notice one of the most important features of this new Sierra HD, and that is this 360-degree camera system. I say important because this thing is so big. Especially for someone like myself who's not used to driving something so large. This is a lifesaver. Really high resolution. I've said it before in General Motors vehicles. This is one of the best camera systems in the industry because of the resolution and also the fact that you have tons and tons of different angles. So we'll go ahead and cycle through a couple of them. This first one here is for lining up a trailer, obviously. You do have a front version as well. You've got this kind of 3-dimensional version. You have both your side views, so you make sure you don't ram against the curb, and a large version of that. You can scroll over to a second page. You'll notice we have some trailer-in cameras. This is also included in here, and it is considered a segment first, but what it will do is basically integrate in with your trailer, and there's some unique features, including the ability to see through the trailer, basically, so you can have a camera and it can see what is underneath of that trailer. Very neat feature. And you also have a bed camera as well. So all really cool features. This camera system is optional via the technology package on both Denali and the AT4. Now of course you don't buy a truck this big and expect it to not come with a ton of storage, and the Sierra HD does not disappoint. So starting out with our console over here, you already have some storage right across the top, a nice little place to stick a phone or something like that. Then when you open this up, this is incredibly large. As you can see, this is probably like 1.5 feet or 2 foot across and about as deep as well. And you do have a nice pad down at the bottom. Of course, you got illumination as well as a USB Type-C, a regular USB, and an aux jack. In front of that, you've got your 2 cup holders, as well as a little storage area right there. You will also notice this big storage bin. This right here is your wireless phone charger, optional via the AT4 Premium package or standard on Denali. Then you have another little storage area right here. Now, if you can't use this, you have even more USB ports, Type-C, Type-A, a 12-volt outlet, as well as a household outlet. And then finally you have another little storage area right there, so you should definitely have plenty of places to stick tools or whatever you need to store. Now moving on up here, we do have a trailer brake. You will also notice an exhaust brake on this diesel model. Got some buttons for some safety systems and your parking sensors, tailgate release, hazards, traction control, power outlet, and the hill descent control. And then up above that, we have the standard dual zone automatic climate control on these top two trims. As you can see, very simple to use. Just twist these two big knobs to adjust your temperature. You've got your fan speeds and zones all located physically right here in one easy to use spot. We do also have 3-stage heated seats as well as 3-stage seat ventilation, both standard equipment on the AT4 and Denali. And in typical GM fashion, you are allowed to heat the back and butt separately. Alright, so now that brings us up here to our audio system. Now, on the AT4, you do have a standard 6-speaker sound system. However, optional and as equipped here on this AT4 and standard on the Denali, we have the Bose premium sound system with 7 speakers and a dedicated subwoofer. So let's go ahead and take a sample of that. Sound quality of this system is definitely excellent and fills the cabin up well. Alright, so now we're up here at our GMC IntelliLink system, so let's go ahead and take a quick look. Now this is the newest version of the IntelliLink system, version 3.0 I believe is what it's called. It is the same as Chevy Infotainment System 3.0 as well. So what you'll notice is you do have a home screen with some shortcut buttons. You can quickly click into these things. You have some shortcuts down along the bottom, or you can scroll over to have just a list of all your applications. Now hitting the highlights of what's important here, we do have standard Apple CarPlay and Android Auto across the board, which is definitely nice. And if we go for the Denali, you do have standard navigation, or you can option it onto the AT4 like what we have. Now, this is GM's newest navigation system, which is definitely a lot better than before. You have really great graphics, really responsive pinch to zoom, and even some cool features like changing the tilt. So definitely a very nice integrated navigation system. That's really the main features that I want to talk about in the IntelliLink system. But of course, we do have a dedicated tech help video full of a lot more details. And that's available with a link to that in the description if you want to check it out. And then moving on up, you will find a standard auto dimming mirror with 3 HomeLink universal remotes up here. But of course, like many new GMC vehicles, we have the rear camera mirror. This is in the technology package for both the Denali and the AT4. And obviously, this has a lot of huge benefits, especially for such a large vehicle like this and when you're towing something. Now, a little bit strangely, we actually do not have a moonroof here on this model. A power sunroof, a standard size power sunroof, is an option for both the Denali and the AT4 for $995. But overall, the cabin of this AT4 is really a great place to spend time. Obviously, just like the outside of the truck, it is absolutely massive in here. You've got plenty of space for everything that you want. And of course, now on these upper end trims like this AT4 and Denali, you have tons and tons of luxury. So basically, it's really cool that you're pairing the extreme capability of this truck, but also with this extreme level of luxury. Alrighty, so now I'll go ahead and hand it off to my brother Mason, who will check out all the rest of the cabin. Alrighty, so going around and checking out the back seats of the 2020 Sierra Heavy Duty, you are going to find an absolute crap ton of space. Now, it is worth noting that the crew cab is the only cab configuration available if you opt for the AT4 or Denali trims. So you're going to find a massive amount of space on those top two trims. It's technically rated at 43.4 inches of rear legroom and 40.3 inches of rear headroom, which does place it identical to the Sierra 1500 and right on par with the Ram and F250. Now turning over here to the door trim, it is a very nice design. So we do have leather wrapping across the armrest portion as well as above it with color contrast stitching. Now your window is power, and down below that you do have plenty of door storage. Since this is a truck after all, you have a bottle holder as well as a large storage compartment. Now turning over to the seat itself, it is a really nice design. I love these color contrast accents, and it is also very comfortable. Now getting in is of course very easy with the fixed running boards on the Sierra Heavy Duty, and you do also have an assist handle. Now here in the center, even though this is a truck focused on capability, GMC has not taken any of the features out on these top end trims. So we do have cup holders here in the top, as well as a little storage cubby. And down below that you will find standard rear air vents across all of the models, which used to not be available at all on the previous generation. Now beside that we have a USB Type-C port, as well as a smart charging USB port, as well as a 12-volt power outlet. Now above that you will also find 2-stage heated rear seats, which are standard on the AT4 and Denali. Now here in the center we do have a fold down armrest. It has two more cup holders in here, as well as another little storage compartment. And up top you do have some LED lighting, as well as a cutout for more headroom, and a coat hook. And I do also want to point out that the rear glass is optionally power on the AT4 or standard on the Denali. Now as far as how the rear legroom is concerned, obviously I do not have any issues. All of these full-size trucks are absolutely massive. So behind Drew's seating position, I probably have 1.5 feet of rear legroom, and my feet can easily slide up underneath the seat. And you can see I can almost fully stretch out. I am extremely comfortable. Now, of course, this heavy-duty truck is focused on capability, so they do give you several different configurations you can use with these rear seats. So if you use this strap, you can fold the seat down like this, and down below that you will also notice this strap. And this actually acts as a little storage compartment behind the seat, so you can store quite a bit of stuff back here completely hidden from anyone's view, and that's the same as the regular Sierra 1500. Now, of course, you can also fold the seat up like this. As you can see, it can lock right into place, and you could fit pretty much anything you want inside the cabin. Say it's raining or whatever, you can fold these seats up and fit a ton of stuff back here as well. Now coming over to the passenger seat, it is of course power adjusting on this model. And in signature Sierra fashion, you do have a 2-part opening glove box, so you have some storage up here, as well as down here below. And up top, you do have a really large sun visor with LED lights and a mirror, and it does also detach and extend. But anyway, guys, that sums up all of the practical stuff about this Sierra Heavy Duty. So now let's go ahead and get on the road and see how much of a beast it is out there. Okay, so let's go ahead and get into probably the most important part of a heavy-duty truck, and that is the powertrain that backs up all of this massive vehicle here. So you've got two different choices. That's the same as in past years. So what you'll be looking at is a gas-powered engine as the standard engine. And that is a massive 6.6 liter V8 producing 401 horsepower and 464 pound-feet of torque. Now a lot of you will opt for what this model has, and that is going to be your diesel. That is also 6.6 liters, but it's a turbo diesel V8, and that makes 445 horsepower and 910 pound-feet of torque. These heavy-duty trucks, the torque figures, they just keep going up, and it just gets crazier and crazier. But yes, that's where we're at now, is 910 pound-feet of torque, which is what makes this worth upgrading to, despite costing just a touch under $10,000 extra. Two different transmissions for those different powertrains. Gas-powered is a 6-speed automatic transmission. This diesel model is a 10-speed automatic transmission. The two models we're reviewing today in this review, the AT4 and the Denali, come standard with 4-wheel drive across both models. And of course, as you know, fuel economy ratings are not legally required of trucks this big. So as the EPA puts it on the sticker, fuel economy is not applicable. But anyways, that's enough of the numbers. Let's go ahead and take it on the road and see what 910 pound-feet of torque actually feels like. Oh my gosh. Like, what the heck? Something this big has no business moving that fast.
What the heck?
The power definitely feels a lot better than you'd expect.
Gosh, yeah, when you just sit in this, it feels like you're in just a tank. But then when you hit the accelerator, it actually goes really fast. And it's just surprising. It almost makes you like want to laugh. I mean, it's just like, what?
Yeah, I mean, we're not accustomed to driving vehicles like this. So it's definitely a new experience. So when you're driving a vehicle like this, everything looks so small. Like, you look like you're just kind of looking down on the road. The lanes just seems like it's so thin and skinny. But yeah, you definitely have a commanding view of the road for sure. This thing just feels so powerful.
Holy moly.
Like, you can just tell this thing would tow just about anything with ease.
You know, but also, you know, an important thing to talk about here, especially with, like, you know, this AT4 and Denali, you know, these trucks will be used for capability and stuff, but they're also going to be used for everyday driving. And just cruising down the road here, where are we going, about 50? Wow, it's so smooth in here. It definitely has a very luxurious ride. And this is the AT4, this is the off-road version, so this is not even the Denali, and it rides extremely smoothly. I'm very comfortable, and it's also quiet in here. It feels like a luxury vehicle, and that, you know, I find that a little bit surprising, especially in a heavy-duty, even the off-road version. But you're going to find a luxurious experience in here.
Yeah, these heavy-duty trucks, and all trucks in general, but even more pronounced than these heavy-duty trucks is just the transformation they've undergone in these last few years. Like he was saying, you know, this is a luxury truck. Heavy duty and luxury never went together before, but now you can now have, I mean, it is so hushed in here. We're driving the diesel, you know, diesel, that's not, you know, you don't think luxury when you think diesel, but, you know, we've got all of those things working together, yet still driving around in the lap of luxury, quiet, and very, very comfortable ride. don't know what the 0 to 60 is on this thing, but it'd have to be fast. I mean, the torque, something like this just weighs so much, but I mean, seriously, it's moving this truck effortlessly, especially unloaded like it is.
It's really just incredible.
It really is. I'm very surprised.
And then, like, another thing that I'm kind of noticing is that it would be really easy to speed in this because we're going 50, and it almost feels like you're just sitting still. I guess because you're a lot higher off the road and you're not really feeling anything. It literally feels like we're almost sitting still, and we're going
right
50. So I can see why a lot of people in these big trucks are speeding now, because
this perspective, from this perspective,
the road looks small and
it's so quiet, it's so smooth that it just feels like we are inching along right now. You're probably noticing also the 10-speed automatic transmission as we were accelerating. It shifts a lot, but super smoothly. You don't even feel a thing. You know, obviously with all of these 10-speed automatic transmissions, they, you know, have a lot of gears to switch between, so they can drop multiple gears at a time. That is the case with this one as well. And all that just makes for you always be able to keep exactly the speed you want whether you're towing or not. Of course, brakes are also super important in something like this. I mean, they're important on everything, but you know, when you're hauling a huge load, you need really strong, powerful brakes. This definitely feels, they have a linear feel to them. They feel really strong right from the beginning, but especially as you press into them. On this diesel model, we have the exhaust brake as well. You know, there's certain details about this cabin as well, like our mirror. We've seen that in numerous General Motors vehicles, but in a vehicle like this, it's particularly important. You know, make sure you can see, have full visibility all around you. The mirrors, they're standard towing mirrors. They're very large. You've got two different sections in them.
blind spot monitoring.
Yeah, blind spot monitoring. They extend out and in, as well as folding, of course. You know, so GM definitely, they got the details right here. The body also seems to have pretty good control. It's not bouncy or anything on the highway. This has the Rancho shocks, being the AT4, so that does make it a little, you know, have more give in it, so that you have off-road articulation. I would expect that the Denali would be a little bit firmer, a little bit more solid. But like I said, this is totally fine at highway speeds. And of course, there's the sound of this thing too.
It really gives you that, you know, authentic truck.
Yeah. I've never driven a semi-truck, but this seems pretty close. And it's really pretty addicting. It just is something uniquely fun about just having that big diesel sound. But overall, impressed would really be an understatement with how I feel about this truck. You know, heavy duty trucks, like I said, it kind of has like a stigma. It's about work, it's not about the luxury. But that has totally changed nowadays. And it's really, I mean, the price tag does demand that. It is nearly $80,000, so you certainly do expect the luxury, but GMC definitely delivered with this truck, because you have all the luxury and all the capability, and that's just, it's really, there's nothing else, you know, no other class of vehicle that can deliver such capability and luxury.
Alrighty, and now let's go ahead and discuss the pricing for this all-new Sierra Heavy Duty. So the prices I'm about to mention, I want to just go ahead and say they are in the crew cab configuration with 4-wheel drive and the regular bed. Okay, so and then the destination charge of $15.95 is also included in these prices. So for the very base model, that's going to come in at $41,595. The SLE is $45,395. The SLT is $53,995. And the AT4, like what we have here, is going to start at $59,295. And then finally, you have the top-end Denali trim, and that's going to start at $65,295.
With the gas engine, of course.
Yes.
As I already mentioned, $10,000 extra for the diesel.
Now, even though this is the second from top trim, we do have pretty much every option that the AT4 can get. So like we mentioned before, we have the 6.6 liter Duramax diesel for $9,890, the AT4 premium package for $4,215, as well as the technology package for $2,125. Now, in addition to that, we do also have the gooseneck fifth wheel package for $595, the carbon black paint for $495, and then we do also have a package discount of $750, and that's for the premium package. It gives you a little bit of a discount for that. And then, like I mentioned, the destination is already included in that price, so this particular model as equipped comes in at $76,460, which, you know, it's a very expensive price point, but it is worth noting that that's right in line with a lot of the main competitors, like the F-250. You'd be looking at like a Platinum, and those are around $80,000, and the Denali can get to around $80,000. So you're going to be finding very competitive pricing with its class, and it is a very capable vehicle, and it's priced accordingly.
Well guys, we hope you enjoyed watching this first in-depth look at the 2020 GMC Sierra Heavy Duty AT4. Please hit those like and subscribe buttons if you haven't already, and we'll catch you next time as we stand for more of the latest automotive delicacies.